Welcome to the Haunted Hangover Podcast. I'm Louie, and as always, I'm joined by my bud Dave.
Hey.
So, Dave.
What up, Lou? I gotta switch it up sometimes. I can't say the same thing every time.
I know. I say the same thing, but whatever. That's just me. We do have a fun topic on the show today, but before we dive into that, I do want your opinion on the Fear Street trilogy that recently aired. Tom and I did a series of minisodes.
I've been listening.
Yeah, we have a series of minisodes, and we've been sort of reviewing them. We're not really a review podcast normally. Well, technically,
you're just grazing them a little bit.
Yeah, we're just kind of giving our thoughts because I felt it did fit the whole like spooky nostalgia, horror nostalgia aspect, with it being very loosely based on an R.L. Stein book series. Sure. But yeah, I just wanted your opinion on the trilogy as a whole.
Okay. All right. So let me try to break this down as easy as I can. I am a big R.L. Stein fan. I've been reading the Goosebump books since they came out. Correct me if I'm wrong, are the Fear Street books, do they predate Goosebump books?
Yes.
They do, right? Okay.
Yeah, Fear Street was like 89, I think. Yeah, Fear Street was late 80s, yeah.
Okay. I can't tell you a plot to any of the Fear Street books. I have a bunch of them. Yeah. The Halloween Night 2 cover I use as reference for the Halloween tattoo I have on my arm.
Yes.
That's on my left sleeve. So I do love the Fear Street series. Now, with that being said, this trilogy of films, the first one was entertaining. 1994 was entertaining. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking. Yes. I think it's like a roller coaster ride that you're just expecting to have fun with it. So, part 2, 1978, I like that one the most. I thought that was the most grounded, the most thought through installment of this trilogy.
Okay.
So I think they nailed the whole camp thing really well, and honestly it could have just worked as its own slasher film that took place at a camp. Honestly, I agree. That's how I feel about it. Now this third one, this is my whole gripe with the entire thing, is this third one. 1666. First off, it's very obvious they were trying to do some sort of cash-in on the witch. And it looks like it fucking feels like it's shot like it. I'll say this, it's shot beautifully. It looks great.
I agree with that too.
You know, I'm not going to take away from it. I don't even really want to shit on this because it's someone's film. They put a lot of work into this. But with that being said, I thought this one was the absolute worst of the trilogy. It just didn't. I was editing photos while I was watching it the whole time, and I'm just like that's how I know I don't care for this.
You were bored,
and I was very bored. And I feel like this whole installment should have just this entire thing. They should have just made it about the books. You know, they should have chose a book and redid it as a film. I
agree. They kind of just used the books as a name, I guess. They just wanted it to be... I guess they wanted that R.L. Stein name attached to it because it really has nothing to do with the books. They're referenced twice. Well, a few times. There's a couple of Easter eggs, but not much in the actual trilogy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it wasn't... On my Letterboxd review... I'm going to butcher what I wrote, but I basically wrote the best part about this installment was the Bone Thugs and Harmony song they used when the guy's driving.
Yeah.
That was the only... I was like, oh shit, they got some Mo Murders playing? Okay. But that was it.
I did notice that too.
Didn't care for this. Did not care for it. Would never watch again. And that's what I have to say about the Fear Street series. I think it was a cash crop, for honestly. Yeah, that's what I think it was. This whole thing.
I said this on the podcast, and I don't want to be redundant, but I'll mention it briefly now that you and I are talking about it. From what I could see on social media and what people were saying about the movies, it seems like people under the age of 30 loved it. people in their like 30s and 40s didn't like this. I don't know why that is.
I think I can figure that out.
Yeah, the 90s aspect of the show I felt was very forced. And I'm a guy that loves Stranger Things, and some people say that about Stranger Things. I don't think Stranger Things is that in your face when it comes to the 80s. Obviously they are in your face because it's set during the 80s, but I felt like this Fear Street trilogy was way more kind of in your face with the 90s stuff.
Let me help you with the way you're trying to describe this. Stranger Things is way more organic. Yes. Fear Street is not. Fear Street is forced. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's about it. Yeah. It looks great. It's got a cool score. It's got cool choice of music, which is shoved down your throat. But
100%.
That's they're trying to cash in on nostalgia because nostalgia is huge. It's been on the rise for years now.
Yeah. It's, look, it's cool. I don't want to go listen to Tom and I's reviews of each installment.
I have to listen to the last one. I haven't listened to that one yet.
Oh yeah, it's I didn't hate any of them. Don't get me wrong, I didn't love them either. I wanted to enjoy them a little more than I did. I didn't hate the last one as much as you did, or dislike it. I don't want to use the word hate because hate is strong, but I didn't dislike it as much as you. Tom didn't like the last one either. He
yes, I know that.
He enjoyed the second one. Like we did. That was my favorite one too. 1978.
It feels the most like a film.
Yes, it's the most authentic. I feel when it came to
absolutely
the time period and the type of story they were trying to tell. And I believe Tom said it. He said it best. He said that installment felt the most not isolated, but it felt like its own story that didn't rely too much on the 1994 segment and the 1666 segment, even though it's connected, obviously, but it felt a little separated. But, I think it's cool. I hope they do it again. I hope they, maybe a different type of story, something else. I wish, and I know I didn't say this on the minisodes of the podcast. The only thing I wish was it was more of a slasher film. Like, it's a slasher film, but it's also very supernatural because of the witch. But I wish it was just kind of like a supernatural slasher film that you find out at the end it was supernatural. That would have been kind of cool. But very early on in the first episode that it's a supernatural slasher, which did exist in the 80s and stuff. So
one last thing I do want to say about 1978. It's the most standalone. That's what I think we're trying to say.
That's the word.
It's the most standalone segment of the trilogy.
Yes. And again, I think the reason why people, I guess in our age demographic or whatever, enjoyed that one the most is because it reminded us of Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th and The Burning, any camp set slasher film. That movie felt like that. So I think that's why we all were just kind of like, that's our favorite one. We also haven't had like a new Friday the 13th movie in like 10 years or 12 years or something like that.
That's okay. That's all right.
People were thirsty for a camp set slasher.
Also, let's not forget Madman, because that is a great slasher film.
Oh, Madman's fucking awesome too. It's been a while. It's been a minute since I've watched that one.
Good one.
I've got to
very good
revisit that one. That is a good one. All right, Dave. So the main topic on the show today is going to be some of our favorite Halloween costumes from a TV series or film. In the past, we've talked about like our favorite Halloween scenes from movies that aren't necessarily Halloween films, and that was kind of fun. And we've also talked about some of our personal favorite Halloween costumes we've worn in the past. Mm-hmm. So I thought this would be a fun topic to cover. Because honestly, I don't hear or see too many articles written about like your favorite costumes from a movie. Like that's not something you see too much. So I thought that'd be an interesting topic. So Dave, hit us with your first pick.
Ellie Creed was the only one that lived. Then one night, she freaks out, hacks up the grandparents with an axe. Police found her licking the brains off the blade. Threw her in the psycho ward. All she could say were two words. Pet cemetery.
So, just to rewind a bit about going back to movies that aren't necessarily a Halloween film but have a Halloween scene, this is a perfect example. My first pick is a perfect example of that, and I'm not going to go into detail with this scene because I do want to cover this in the future. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to keep it brief, but here it goes. So, one of my favorite costumes is from the movie Pet Sematary 2, which was released on August 28th, 1992, directed by Mary Lambert. The character I chose is Clyde Parker, who's played by Jared Rushton. Clyde Parker is a hell of a name. Jared Rushton, he's the kid in Big. He's in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He's got a face that you can recognize him.
Yeah.
Right. So he is the penultimate fucking bully, shitty, punk motherfucker kid in this movie. He's really such a sleazy kid. And
he's terrible in the movie. He's horrible. Yeah, he's horrible.
And his costume is the ultimate shitty kid costume. Because if you see in this movie, you know how much of a fuck this kid is. So, like I said, just to briefly touch upon the Halloween scene that is depicted in this movie, it is amazing. I mean, it's got a ton of atmosphere. It takes place in the pet cemetery. It's lit well. It's just great. So, we have our man Clyde telling the story about Gage, obviously from Pet Sematary 2, around, again, like I said, a really impressive set. You got a bunch of kids drinking and smoking, and it's honestly the perfect fucking setting for a Halloween night. He's clad in a duster, a scarf around his neck, which he wears throughout the entire movie, a skeleton shirt, which is a really cool skeleton shirt. I've never seen the shirt he's wearing in anything. A dangling cross earring, and a stocking over the top of his head, which earlier he's wearing over his face. So he looks like a robber or someone that's up to do something really shitty. He's also got jeans and boots like he's wearing Tim's. So, like, it's literally the ultimate shitty kid costume. When you have to keep your rep of being the neighborhood bully punk fuck and dress very ominously but not an actual costume, this is it in all of its glory. I would love to dress as this one Halloween, but I honestly don't think many will understand what it's from. And I think people will just think I'm going to rob them.
I do like and to talk about, listen, Pet Sematary 2 is a phenomenal movie.
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's one of those movies where I think it's just as good as the original film. And there's certain things I like about it better. No, I agree. There are a few things in Pet Sematary 2 that I like better than Pet Sematary. And Pet Sematary 1's a pretty dark movie, but Pet Sematary 2 has like one of the saddest deaths in it, and you know which one I'm talking about. And I don't want to talk about it here because I'm sure
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm sure we're gonna, again, like you said,
we're gonna cover it.
We're gonna cover this at least the scene and go more in depth on the movie itself. But I just love, like, I wonder, like, when they were putting together, like, during the production, his costume, why the fuck would they put, like, a pantyhose on his head? Like
it just what? Looks like a robber.
Like, is that what it's supposed to be? Like, I didn't take it as that. Like, I didn't take it as, like
I don't know,
that he's a robber. Like,
shitty kid.
It's just like a pantyhose on his head. It's just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, you know?
And this kid plays this role so good.
Yeah.
Like, so good. And he's like smoking a cigarette and he's flicking his butts as he's telling the story. He is 1,000,000% believable as like the shitty bully.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hats off to him. He was great in this film. Again, we're gonna cover this, so I don't really want to go into it that much.
Yeah. No, for sure.
You know?
I do like how he hates cops too, because of I forgot the character's name.
Drew's dad.
Considering what happens to him too in the movie, it's like, all right, like, makes sense why he hates cops. He doesn't trust them. He's just a shitty kid who fucking hates 5-0. So
yeah, it's great.
He was shitty in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids too, right?
Yeah,
he's like the obnoxious little brother.
Too.
Yeah, like It's funny because outside of Pet Sematary 2, Big, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I can't think of any other movies.
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm looking it up. I
can't think of any other movies he's been in, even recently. Like, those are the 3 movies I think of, and I think he's pretty shitty in all of them. Who does he play in Big? Is he the kid's friend? If I remember correctly, Tom Hanks character.
Yeah, he's exactly. That's exactly who he is. So here I have some tidbits for us. So I totally forgot about this. He's a musician now.
Oh, interesting.
He's a former actor. He's an actor turned musician now. So he was in Overboard too. I totally forgot about that.
Shit. I forgot about that. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I haven't watched Overboard in forever. He's 47?
Yeah.
Damn, time flies. It's hard to believe that's like
he's also
almost 50.
He's also in episodes of Roseanne. He's
yes.
Murder, She Wrote. He's in a whole bunch of stuff. So I mean, he's had, a pretty decent. He's in Lady in White. He's
yeah, wow. Lady in White, another great Halloween movie that we haven't even I don't think we've mentioned it much on the show. So that's another movie we're eventually going to have to cover because that's a fucking awesome Halloween movie.
It is.
So that was a good pick. That's my
first pick.
Why are you Venkman?
Because I'm Venkman.
No, I'm Venkman.
Why can't there just be 2 Venkmans?
Because there's only one Venkman in real life. We planned this months ago. I'm Venkman, Dustin Stans, you're Egon, and you're Winston.
I specifically didn't agree to Winston.
Yes, you did.
I don't think he did. No one wants to be Winston, man.
What's wrong with Winston?
What's wrong with Winston? He joined the team super late. He's not funny, and he's not even a scientist.
Yeah, but he's so cool.
If he's cool, then you be Winston.
I can't.
Why not?
Because
you're not black?
I didn't say that.
You thought it.
So, my first pick is the Stranger Things Ghostbusters costumes. So
commendable. It's a good one.
Yeah. This is from episode 2 from season 2, and it's titled Trick or Treat Freak. Similar to your pick, I'm not going to go too into the episode itself because I also think this episode, I don't think we're going to go into any of our picks much today because they can all be covered on the podcast standalone because there's 100%. Just so much Halloween goodness in all of these things. But in the episode, the boys, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and Will, decide to go as the Ghostbusters. Because if I remember correctly, this season takes place during 1984, which is when Ghostbusters was released. What I love about these Ghostbusters costumes is that they're homemade. Like when you the
best part about them.
Yeah, they look so authentic. It looks like they made them themselves, and they're all identical.
You can see the tape. You can see the electric tape taped to the proton packs, holding like the little like hose fucking power wash fucking triggers and stuff like that. It's awesome.
It is awesome, and even I think Dustin makes a ghost trap, and I think there's like a quick scene where he's showing, because this was the first season where they introduced Max. So he shows her like, oh, we have a ghost trap, and he opens it, and the doors of it flip open.
Hold on, I got a tangent for you right here. Do you remember prior to Stranger Things this season coming out, do you remember Spotify was doing like a whole little gimmick where you picked music and then you would get chosen which Stranger Things character you were? Yeah. I got Max when I did mine.
I don't remember who I got. I remember the entire like Spotify would turn, like it would go into the upside down too. Remember that?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
Strange.
That was good marketing.
People shit on the marketing of Stranger Things being everywhere. I don't fucking mind. It's an awesome show.
I don't mind it either. Awesome show.
And I'm going off on a tangent here too, but I see a lot of people talk shit like,
Tangent Corner.
That's what Haunted Hangover is, the Tangent Podcast.
The Tangent Corner.
The Tangent Corner. There you go. People always shit on like, oh, there's so much marketing. It's everywhere. Stickers, posters, Burger King meals, all kinds of shit. But I think it's cool. And people, again, our age talk shit about that sometimes. But dude, Ghostbusters. Speaking of Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles were fucking everywhere when we were kids. Like, it was marketed the same fucking way. And so was, like, most other TV shows.
Simpsons, all of it was.
All of it. So, don't shit on Stranger Things marketing.
No.
It's fucking awesome. So going back to the costumes. So again, I love how it's homemade. I love how they're wearing jumpsuits. And if you look, the jumpsuits are all different shades of like beige.
Different shades of beige. Yeah.
And they have the little what's it called? The name tags sewn into it, and you could see it. Very authentic. But my favorite joke about this whole Ghostbuster getup between the four boys is that I believe it's Lucas and Mike both have Peter Venkman name tags that they sewed into their jumpsuit, and they're fighting about who's Venkman. And I just love how Mike is kind of an asshole, and he basically says that Lucas should be Winston Zedmore because he's black. I'm like, it goes to show you like how shitty kids were. It's the most authentic I think kids would be. It's like,
definitely,
you're the black character because you're black.
Right.
It's just kind of shitty, but it's like, it's funny how Mike thinks it's cool to tell Lucas that he should be this character just because of the color of his skin. It's so fucked. It's a fucked up joke, but honestly, it's innocent too because you could tell they're in the show. They're such good friends.
It's something that would have happened.
Yeah, it's something that would have happened in 1984. And they're even like, oh, Winston, he's not the cool character. He's the character that joins later on in the movie. But yeah, the other thing I love about these costumes is I remember being a kid and wanting to dress up as a Ghostbuster, but that wasn't a costume that existed. Like, yeah, you could buy like the real Ghostbusters Proton Pack, but like
I wanted that so bad.
I never got it either. That's something we have in common. Neither one of us got it.
Nope.
But like even finding a jumpsuit, like that when you're that small is kind of difficult. Like what is it? Coveralls that small is just impossible. Like I don't remember ever seeing that. Even when I was a kid and wanted to dress up as like Michael Myers, like finding that kid size was just fucking impossible. So I do love that about it, that they're just these homemade costumes. And it's something I would have wanted as a kid, being a huge Ghostbusters fan. It shows you, like in '84, what a big deal the Ghostbusters were. So I always like, dude, this episode, Trick or Treat Freak, as a whole, like I want us to cover it. Obviously, it's very dense because it's Stranger Things.
I forgot about it, to be honest.
Oh, dude, it's some of the best Halloween atmosphere, and it's fucking Stranger Things, so you know they're gonna nail that shit to a T. But it's definitely an episode we'll have to cover because it's one of my favorite Halloween episodes of a show in like the last 10 years probably. Like they just did such a good job, and then having the boys dress up as the Ghostbusters is just the cherry on top.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I do want to add, the montage of the parents taking pictures of everybody. Yeah. That's a thing. Yeah. My mom did it. I know parents that did it when I was a kid. I vividly remember my mom dressing me up as, a vampire all the time and taking pictures. So that was a thing. Very authentic.
Ren, you're like the enemy of fun.
It's called responsibility, Lewis. You should try it sometime. Oh, and your little penguin getup? It's not going to scare anybody.
Oh, really?
Penguin! So my second pick is from Even Stevens, Season 2, Episode 12, A Very Scary Story. It aired on October 19th, 2001. So first off, I love Even Stevens. It's a fucking great show. This era of Shia LaBeouf is the best. It's just, I would watch this show all the time when I got home from high school.
Yeah.
So I know that this show was probably marketed to like 14-year-olds, but here you have like a 16, 17-year-old watching it. I didn't give a shit. It was a great show.
Yeah.
And, I do like that it was aired during October. So yeah. I definitely, I definitely give the show props. I did not look up who directed this episode, so I apologize about that. So, obviously, I'm talking about Lewis Stevens, played by Shia LaBeouf. And just before I go into this is strictly me talking about Shia LaBeouf even Stevens era. I'm not talking about him now. I'm not talking about the fucked up shit that I heard he did to FKA Twigs. I'm talking about me being a fan of I called him Louis Stevens. Me being a fan of Shia LaBeouf up until knowing what he's been accused of doing. Because I personally find him to be an interesting person. I'm a fan of his work. I like his acting chops. Yeah. And like I said, this is strictly even Stevens era Shia LaBeouf. Mm-hmm. So our man Louis is dressed up as a penguin jockey. And this, I believe, when I go into it, is the precursor to this kind of costume, because you see them everywhere now. So this Halloween special is great and so much fucking fun. I'm not going to get into the episode because I feel like we will cover this on the show in the future, and that's true. We're definitely going to cover this.
For sure.
So the penguin jockey. Here we have Louis Stevens in his manic, zany self, wearing a propeller hat, a checkered jockey jacket, goggles, and a riding crop, which is the stick jockeys use to hit horses. And his legs look like they're mounted on the penguin, but they're actually the penguin's legs. Yes. So that's why I say this is definitely like what caused that trend of costume, because you see them everywhere now.
I agree. You do. They're all over the place. They're super popular.
Yeah. The costume is super silly and fun. Paired with Louis's antics, it makes it that much better. I mean, honestly, it really does. Like, he's such a great character. This episode is absolutely amazing. That's why I'm not going into it too much, but I will make one quick mention. All the costumes in this episode are a lot of fun, and especially it feels and oozes Halloween. You have Egyptian pharaohs, you have cavemen, you have sailors, Madonna, 70s girls, prison inmates. It goes on. Every character, and even in the background, are dressed in a costume. Yeah. So, like, they really did a great job making a Halloween special, and I feel like this is something everybody, I know that I'm going off on a tangent, but this is something that absolutely needs to be on your Halloween watch list because it's so much fun.
I have a confession. I never watched this show.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I don't know why. So 2001, I was in high school. You're a couple of years older than me. So I think I was 14.
I graduated high school in 2001.
I was 14 or 15. And at that point, I wasn't watching fucking Disney Channel. Like, it's interesting because at that point in my life, I was all about, like, fucking horror movies and, like, music. So, like, I
was too, but this is great.
It's weird. It's funny because I talk to people around our age, and some of them did watch it and some didn't. So it's weird how you, like, loved it, and it completely, like, fell under the radar for me. I don't know why. Again, it's probably where I was in life. Like, I was 14, 15. I was all about listening to fucking Deicide and, like, watching watching fucking Cannibal Holocaust, like, discovering all those movies, you know? Because that's when I was discovering all that, like, weird. I feel like if you're, like, into metal, hardcore, whatever type of music, there's a certain point in your life when you're young where you're super fucking close-minded. Not everyone's like that, but some people are. And I think the age of 14 and 15, I was fucking close-minded, where it's, like, horror shit and, like, the music I was listening to, and that was basically it for, like, 2 years of my life. Even though I did like other shit, but I feel like that's probably why I missed this show completely. Now, this episode... I will admit I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did skim through it because I wanted to see Shia LaBeouf's penguin jockey costume, which is amazing. I do. It's almost silly. It's almost like something a fucking burnout pothead would fucking come up with.
Yeah, it's really like silly,
random shit. But from what I saw in the episode, it definitely looks like a great Halloween watch. Like,
it is. I promise you.
We will be covering it in the future. But I do want to say one thing about Shia LaBeouf. I agree with you. I don't know all the drama and shitty things he did. I know about it a little. But as an actor, he became very eccentric. Remember when he was doing that weird shit where he was like watching all of his movies in a movie theater for like days straight? And there was like a live...
interesting dude.
Wasn't there like a live webcam on him the entire time? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. That's funny, though. That's something he would do.
Google it. He literally...
I will.
He had a camera, a live stream set up of him sitting in a movie theater, and he invited anyone can come in and out of the movie theater. You just have to buy a ticket. And he sat there and watched all of his movies up until that point, from like beginning to end. It's just him sitting there, fucking like laughing at his own shit, falling. Like it was like 24 hours or something, like 48 hours of him just watching his own shit. So he is a very, very strange and interesting guy. I was never one of those people that like hated Shia LaBeouf. I don't know all the details of 2021. The shit
we're talking
he's
about
doing.
The actor. I'm not talking about the personal aspect of him. I'm just talking about him as an actor.
Yeah, like
I'm a big fan
Nymphomaniac. He was great in that. Did you watch Nymphomaniac? Those two movies.
I have not seen that.
Lars von Trier. He was in that. He was good in that. Yeah, he was good in a movie. I forget the name of it. I watched where the actor had Down syndrome, and it was the peanut butter. I forget. He was great in that too.
Peanut Butter Falcon? Is that what it's called?
It might be. That was a great movie. He is a very good actor. You know, so
well, I think he wrote that movie. Hold on a second.
He might have produced it or wrote it, but
now you got me going down a Shia LaBeouf wormhole here.
And but even Stevens, again, it's a show I definitely want to like. I never revisit it. I not revisit it because I've never actually seen it, but I do want to watch the Halloween episodes. Now, is this the only Halloween episode in the series run, or were there more?
You know
or
what?
you don't know?
I can't. I think there's a few. I think there's two. There's two or three. Because there's another one where his sister Ren is dressed as is it Maleficent? That Disney character?
The Disney with the purple.
Which she looks amazing. Yeah, she looks amazing. So
I've got to watch it.
There's at least another Halloween special.
I am curious to check it out. I'm sure we'll be covering one of them down the line. Just from what I saw in this episode, it looks like something that will be just right up my alley. I'm sure I'll enjoy it.
And the other thing I wanted to say was Lewis's character plays into the costume so much. Like, like just how he is, it just makes the costume that much better. So
his
it's one of those
like
things
just ridiculous, right? He's like an annoying,
it's really
kind
silly.
of
He's super silly,
screaming and shit all the time. I was like, literally, I probably watched like half the episode. I was like skimming through it, and I was just like, this dude's like barking. I will say, I did chuckle at one part where like, I think it's his sister, I'm assuming, is like, oh, that's not a scary costume, and some dude walks in. And
that's
he's like,
his brother.
That's his
Penguin.
older brother.
And he jumps over the railing.
And he's like scared of. That was pretty funny because it was so fucking random. I was like, what the fuck was that all about? But yeah, I definitely want to. I do want to check out the Halloween episodes on the series and the series itself. You sold me on it with this episode, Dave.
Perfect.
Damn it! We need to find like a stupid dude to give us some candy.
Whoa. Well, that's a good idea.
What in the hell are you boys supposed to be?
I'm a gnat.
I'm a dumbass.
So my next pick, and the final one we'll be talking about on this episode, is from the Beavis and Butthead episode, Bunghole Lord of the Harvest. So, I love Beavis and Butthead. I will never apologize for my love of Beavis and Butthead. It's how I got into some of the music I love. I think I heard of White Zombie for the first time through Beavis and Butthead. I think I heard of the band Primus through Beavis and Butthead.
If I can make one thing that I have to tell you and the listeners.
Yes.
I met Mike Judge when I was like 11 years old.
That's fucking cool.
Dude. I have his autograph somewhere. I have a sketch from him and an autograph from him somewhere.
Dude, you have to find that one day and show it to me. I'm so curious. That's fucking amazing.
I met him at a comic convention, like in the city. It was way before Comic-Cons.
Wow.
And my mom took me. I met Guar, too.
That's dope.
It was crazy.
Yo, Gwar and Mike Judd. That tells you what time period this happened during. Yep. So that's really fucking dope, dude.
Proceed, Lou.
But yeah, so again, I've always loved Beavis and Butthead. It's one of those things I'll toss on from time to time if I'm editing or writing or cleaning. It's just stupid. It's dumb, I will admit. Fun story, I remember like my grandmother and I had like uncles and stuff. They'd see me watching Beavis and Butthead, and like they had no clue what the fuck I was watching. They would just do like I can't fucking do it any justice, but they would just see it and be like, "What is this stupid show?" Because all they did was fucking laugh. So that's all like my grandmother and like uncles and shit thought of this show. My mother was like cool with it. I have another memory of being in like, I think one of her friends' houses, and they had kids too, and we were in the other room just watching fucking Beavis and Butthead. And the fact that Beavis and Butthead had a Halloween special makes it even better. Like, that's what makes the show and like Beavis and Butthead fucking amazing and great. Now, I'm not going to go again. I'm not going to go into the episode too much because I do want us to cover this. I actually want us to cover this and do a live watch along because of how fucking dumb it is.
How all of our picks are things that we didn't think to actually cover yet. So that's what I love about this.
There's so much we haven't even fucking touched when it comes to like Halloween specials and movies and scenes. There's just endless amount of stuff. We'll be doing this for quite some time. So, but yeah. So to set up the episode a little bit, because I don't want to go into too many details. Beavis and Butthead forget it's Halloween. They're just at home watching like a slasher movie, and their commentary over it is fucking the best thing ever. And kids start knocking on their door, and they're just like, that's like the 10th time tonight. And Butthead's annoyed. They're fucking annoyed. They go to the door, and they realize that it's trick-or-treaters asking for candy. And they get the bright idea. They're like, oh shit, if we go outside, we get fucking free candy. Keep in mind, Beavis and Butthead are 2 teenagers, so they're kind of past that point in life. So they go out and they go try to go trick-or-treating. They don't have any costumes. They don't even know how to say trick-or-treat when they knock on the door. They just knock on the door and they're just standing there laughing like they always do, chuckling. And they're just like, we want candy, dude, and that's it. And the guy's like, you guys don't even have costumes on, like blah, blah, blah. So they go back home to put together costumes. And the ongoing thing with Beavis and Butthead is they're poor and live in this house with no parents. I don't even know how they pay the fucking mortgage or anything.
Nothing is ever explained.
It's never explained. They just sit on this like fucking disheveled, broken down house, sitting on their couch watching TV and watching music videos, which is the main thing Beavis and Butthead did.
Metal.
And they love metal. So they're home. And this is the costumes. These are the costumes they come up with. Beavis puts a brief underwear on his head and tells Butthead he's a nad. A giant nad, which if you don't know what a nad is, it's a testicle or balls, basically.
You know.
And he's just, I just love how he's staring in the mirror and he's like, I'm a nad. I like over and over again. I'm a nad. Over and over again to himself. So then Butthead walks into the room next.
His is my favorite.
This is my favorite too. And he has a pan of hot nacho cheese and dumps it on his head. The nacho cheese had to be hot for some reason. Burns himself and tells Beavis that he's nachos. That's it. He just pours the fucking cheese on his head and tells Beavis that he's nachos. Now, I just love that. Like, it fits the character so well because they're both
100%.
fucking idiots, and that's what I always pictured Beavis and Butthead, what they would dress up as for Halloween. I also like how later on they go to, I forget the character's name, the neighbor, the guy that's always
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. He's always fucking stressed out. And I think he's asking Butthead, like, what are you supposed to be for Halloween? And at this point, Butthead changes what his costume is. And he tells him he's a dumbass.
I'm a dumbass.
I'm a dumbass. while he's trick-or-treating. I love how they fucking fail at trick-or-treating too. Like, only Beavis and Butthead would fail at fucking getting candy and knocking on people's doors. It's the best.
I'm a dumbass.
It is. Butthead, he's a dumbass. That's basic. He's nachos, he forgets he's nachos, and then he's just a fucking dumbass. But surprisingly, in this episode, dude, it's like a great Halloween special. And again, I'm not going to go into it.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh, dude, what happens to them and some of the settings, like what they're walking through and some of the other characters' costumes and shit. It's a great fucking episode. And we're, again, just like the Even Stevens episode and Stranger Things and Pet Sematary 2, it's another thing we have to cover in the fucking future.
Listen,
were you a Beavis and Butthead fan?
Oh, of course I was. Yeah. Coincidentally, all 4 of our picks that these are taken from would make a great showing, like a great viewing on a Halloween night. All 4 of them.
What's cool about this episode, too, I was looking it up, because whenever you watch these, like, Beavis and Butthead shows, like, whenever you watch them on, like, streaming, they cut out all the music videos. But I looked up what was on it, and like there was an Alice Cooper video, like there were like Halloween themes, like videos and like music videos sprinkled throughout this episode. So it's
that is cool.
Similar to the Elvira Halloween special we covered recently. It's like fuck. Anytime music videos are cut out of something, it's always fucking eliminated from like the rerun or the streaming version of it or whatever version's available now. So that kind of sucks. But yeah. This is a great Halloween special, and it's short, too. It's only, like, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, the episodes were not long.
No, they never were. Again, especially now because they cut out all the music stuff, all the music videos, but it's so good, dude. Beavis and Butthead are fucking amazing, and they're such a product of the 90s. Like, they've tried to bring them back, and it just doesn't work, and that's because they're almost too risque for today, even though South Park exists and stuff. And I think South Park is way more fucking rated R than Beavis and Butthead. Way more. They say way more fucked up shit. But I still think that like, Beavis and Butthead, you know, they're such a product of that time. And it even goes to show you, like you mentioning meeting Mike Judge in the 90s. Like Mike Judge, I can't even think after like King of the Hill. I think he's directed a few movies, but like I can't think of anything else he's done. But Beavis and Butthead rule. So
yeah, it does. One quick little blurb about Beavis and Butthead. So I used to watch, like I said, I watch it all the time, and I would watch it late at night. Yeah, and I would like be super. It's like it was like a jackpot if it came on late at night. Like you were watching, like flipping through channels, and it was on. I always liked when they were in the actual world of Beavis and Butthead, not watching the videos. Yes, I've learned a lot of good music from watching the show, but
me too.
I always preferred when they were actually in the cartoon world.
Me too. I always
wanted to see more of that.
The storylines were always great. Like them at work, like them at school, like and everything. Every time anything involving sex or any innuendo, they would just fucking laugh. I still say one of the greatest jokes is when they're in class and it's sex ed week and they can't laugh and they're learning about sex ed and the teacher's like, I think it was the gym teacher, I forget his name. He's like, we're going to learn about the reproduction system and testicles and vaginas, and they can't laugh.
Immature.
I know, they're so immature, but it's fucking great. Dude, fucking Beavis and Butthead, they're the best, man. They're the fucking best. A national treasure, both of those guys.
Yeah, they are.
Hi there, Howard here, and I'm back to give a spooky shout out to this month's patrons. Big thanks to Arachnid Andrew R. and new this month, Bloodsucker Bryant New. If you would like a spooky shout out on the show, be sure to join our Patreon. We currently have exclusive episodes of the podcast and plenty more Halloween goodness to come. You won't regret it. I'll catch you guys later.
So those were some of our favorite Halloween costumes from a TV series or film. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter @HauntedHangover, and be sure to check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/HauntedHangover31.
And if you can rate and review us, that'd be greatly appreciated.
And remember, the best cure for a hangover is...
more booze and nachos.
Nachos.
be this impression ever.
Impression, that's okay.
Later, guys.